And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Wednesday. Look at this. He is back. If you're watching us on the YouTube or KSLSports.com, you can see he's back in his chair. It's Ben Anderson. What's up, Ben?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. How was Tennessee?
It was excellent.
It's a fun town.
It's a cool town. Nashville's a cool town. I would recommend making a weekend out of it if you're looking for a place to get away.
Go hit Morgan Whalen's bar.
Morgan Whalen's bar, Kid Rock's bar. Willie Nelson has a thing. At least he's honored a lot all over. You know, he's just one of the guys. There's a lot of Johnny Cash stuff. So, yeah, it's very cool. It's a great town.
I can't remember if I told you what I heard about Kid Rock's bar, which I thought was kind of funny. That they pay a fine to the city every night.
Okay.
Because with all the music and all the stuff going on there is a level at which you can play your music on Broadway, which is the big music honky-tonk thing. That it's whatever, the decibel level. He goes just above it because he wants to be the loudest bar in Nashville and
pays
just
the cost.
Pays the fine every single night, which I thought that's kind of funny.
It's like Michael Jordan and the shoes. His first whatever year in the league when he was wearing the different colored shoes, his first Jordans. So, yeah, that makes sense. I'd believe that. But it's cool. Broadway is obviously super touristy. It's, it's the tourist trap there. And I'm sure a lot of the regulars don't go. But it's fun. If you've never been there, we don't have anything like that. Certainly, I don't think a lot of cities have anything like that.
How many bachelorette parties did you see?
24. We counted.
Did you really?
We were there for maybe
like that?
3 hours. And there were 24 brides we saw. Brides to be.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's a one every 10 minutes. It's what they're doing. But it's a good time. You know what I really felt after what was a very crappy week for our state last week? People are just good. You know what I mean? Like, everyone was super warm and kind, and the locals were good, and the people traveling were good. Now, apparently not everybody at the Titans game was good. Christian just sent us a video.
Wasn't at the Titans game. It was actually at the Texans-Rams game.
Oh, okay.
But he was playing it off like it was the Titans game, and because he said the guy looks like you, which he does.
Okay. But even the Titans game, man, it was the game itself was not very good. The Titans are awful. The Rams are only okay. Puka is just a huge superstar everywhere you go. He's truly awesome on the field. It was weird watching the game and being like, oh man, he's better than everybody else. Like, he gets open every time. Whenever there's a third down, it's the only place Stafford's looking, and he converts every single time. It's pretty awesome. But the only two jerseys you saw consistently, and I mean at the stadium in Tennessee, Nissan Stadium, were Aaron Donald and Puka Nacua, both Rams jerseys. But Puka his jerseys were everywhere. It was crazy what a fan base he has. So it's pretty cool. It's crazy what a great player he's turned into.
Yeah, he's electric for sure. He was electric at BYU. He just never played.
Yeah, he was hurt too often.
And so the fact that he's been able to be, reasonably healthy in his NFL career, knocking on wood for that guy. Because, go talk to our guy Hatch, who really watched him in high school.
Yeah, I saw him play high school basketball. I never watched him in high school on the football field. I saw him play basketball and thought, this is a D1 player. Like, this kid could easily go play basketball at the D1 level, wherever he wanted to. He's just so much more athletic than everybody else. His muscles react differently. He changes direction faster than everybody else on the floor. But it's amazing that has followed him, that now even playing against the greatest athletes in the world, he's still just a cut above everybody else. It's pretty impressive. And we had terrible seats, and we were way up at the top of the stadium. And he still just stands out. He scored on like a 45-yard jet sweep, and it was just like, he just ran past everybody on a non-wide receiver play. Or at least not on we're just going deep ball. Let's show off your hands. It was just like, no, I'm just going to turn the corner and be faster than everybody. So that was cool. The stadium is awful. It's shocking how bad that stadium is.
Real quick on Puka.
Okay.
And then we can talk about the bad stadium. This tells you how weird I am. When I see or hear Puka Nacua, where does my mind go first.
Washington.
Nope.
Okay. Where?
His brother Kai sucker punching that guy
Okay.
at the Memphis beach. The sucker punching the Memphis guy at the Miami Beach brawl.
Yes.
He's like, there's like 10 Nakuas.
There are. Yeah.
And for some reason, my brain goes right to Kai sucker punching that guy in one of the not so great moments in BYU Bull history.
Suspended the next day, right? Or the next game because it was the last game of the season.
And the Nakuas have been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Samson's been around forever. Puka's tearing up the NFL.
Yeah.
And every time I see a Nakua highlight, that comes to my brain for some reason. Anyway.
The stadium is weird. It really made me respect.
What's it called again?
Nissan Stadium. Which I don't really understand if there's like a Nissan tie to the city. I couldn't figure it out. Or if it's just like companies want to sponsor things and it's one of the ones you can sponsor.
I don't know. Nissan can barely afford to make cars anymore.
Right. I can understand why the stadium is struggling. It made me appreciate how good Delta Center is. It made me appreciate how good Rice Eccles is. I have not been to the new Bees Stadium. It made me appreciate how good Lavelle Edwards is. It's just they are designed and kept updated with fans in mind, and they're not perfect and they're not cutting edge everywhere they go. We'll see if Delta Center, gets there and is supposed to be now, certainly with the technology on the floor and the ice itself. But there was nowhere to eat. There's nowhere to sit. There's no shade anywhere. So it's just bizarrely bland and unfriendly in a place where it should be designed to make the fans have a good time. And, I told you I spent $60 on tickets. I looked morning of. Tickets were down to $30. It was all Rams fans where I was sitting. There's no Titans fans there. Even though it was the number one overall pick, Cam Ward, making his home debut. It's just a real way to realize, I get there's a lot of transplants in Nashville, right? Not a lot of people are born there. A lot of people move into town for the music or whatever. But it just made me realize why teams fail, why teams are bad, and why the lack of interest is there.
So I guess we're going to take podium from Mammoth Media Day. Clayton Keller's going to be stepping up in a moment. I actually think that our facilities really actually reflect the culture. If you want to,
okay.
To the people that go around to the different baseball stadiums or whatever, I would be curious to their opinion. But I think we really focus on functionality and lasting. All right, let's get to Clayton Keller at the podium.
Just unknowns with everything, the move, where we were playing, things like that. So it's definitely nice to be settled in, and we have such an amazing group of guys.
Like that?
Even the management, coaches. It's just a special group, and you could tell there's a lot of excitement this year. And, we're settled. We have a team name, practice rank. Like, everything just came into place perfectly. So we're all super excited.
As a team, you've added a little more offensive punch up front coming into this season. How do you think that'll help the team? Because you had moments there last season where you had droughts, and it was just kind of hard to come up with goals at different times.
Yeah, for sure. And, all the guys we added in free agency and JJ as well, super skilled player. He's really going to help our group. Young guy, thinks the game really well. We've got to skate with him a couple times, and, he's been very good. And, it's just another element, scoring winger that is really going to help. It's tough to score goals in this league, and anytime you can add a guy that can do it, it's huge, and he's really going to help us out.
How did the Olympic orientation camp go, and what's it going to take for you to make that team?
Yeah, it was great. Good to see a lot of familiar faces, things like that. But yeah, I've just always focused on, the season and, playing my game and just kind of letting the rest take care of itself. It's not something that I'm stressed about or anything like that. Obviously, I want to be a part of that team, and, I'm just going to let my play do the talking.
Talked to Bear, and he said that last year's energy was more excitement with hope, whereas this year's just more excitement with confidence. What gives you and this team confidence?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think being settled, we've kind of been around each other a while now, our team in particular, same coaches, for a little bit as well. So yeah, it's just a fun group to be a part of, and you could tell each year we're just getting closer and closer. And guys are a year older, just maturity, consistency, like things that we talk about that we want to do every single night. And it takes time. As a young player, I could remember when I was playing in my first couple of years, like to really get it, it takes some time, and it doesn't just happen overnight. Like you have to experience the season and the grind and things like that.
Stepping into year 2 now, just curious, how has this move to Utah and the NHL coming to Utah positively impacted your life?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's. I mean, Ryan and Ashley Smith, Chris Armstrong. Since day one, they've been amazing people. Made us feel at home from day one, giving us every resource. I could go down the list of things that they've done for us, and we're so thankful for them. And we can focus on hockey and nothing else, and grow the game here in Utah, and build a special relationship with the community, and really growing the game here. So just super thankful for I couldn't have asked for a better place to be, and the people that I'm surrounded with.
Mentioned the strides you took as a young player. As now you're captain, and with Logan and Dylan, what are you hoping to see with their strides and growth in their game, and as they, have a year or two under their belts?
Yeah, for sure. I think both of those guys are unbelievable players, and I think it's nice too for guys like that to see guys that are maybe a couple years older than them, and how they kind of go about their business. And I think that's something that's nice with our group. We have kind of guys that are only a couple years older and have been through, different experiences, and see how we go about our day, things like that. But both of those guys are so good, and are only getting better. I think it helps too, and the team's competitive, and you're fighting for to win every single night. So it's definitely great to have those guys, and they've just learned so quick just on everything really.
Career season for you last year with in terms of assists and points, and then as well first season as captain. How do you build on that? How do you get better? How do you become more effective?
Yeah, I think just continuing, doing what I'm doing. Obviously, leadership-wise, I'm going to get better every single year. It's something that, I don't take lightly, and I put a lot of work into. But, on the ice, I think I worked on my game a lot this summer. The last 3-4 years, I've really taken the time to, work on my game and, focus on specific things, and not just like going out there to like skate. Like I'm actually working on something that's going to happen in the season, game 1 to 82 to playoffs, like just like those reps and touches that I get a lot, just becoming more efficient, more smooth, more deceptive, things like that. So that's something that I've been able to really hone in on the last couple of years.
Like that. There you go. That's Clayton Keller.
Like that?
There will be more to that. That will continue on. We'll get all of today's interviews at Mammoth Media Day up online. So if you really want to dig into it, we'll have all of it for you, and we'll duck in here on the Jake and Ben show throughout the show.
But, you see a growing fan base, going back to our conversation of, why Titans fans didn't show up, and why there's a real kind of lack of respect for the fans, the experience. And they're building a new building right next to Nissan Stadium. I was just in Nashville over the weekend. So they're not putting money into it, but again, it's just where are you upgrading? Even the University of Utah now is building a new basketball facility, and BYU's got a terrific basketball facility, and Ryan Smith is upgrading what we have right now at Delta Center, and the Millers just built a new baseball stadium in Daybreak, and just trying to continue to improve the experience itself.
Well, this is kind of where I was going with culture, and it does matter to the Mammoth, by the way, because their facilities and where they play is certainly very, very relevant at the moment. But I think culturally, Ben, our architecture is functional and built to last. And I don't know if that's a culture thing, but if you think about all of our facilities, including Delta Center, which is why they can refit it in the first place, is it was built to last. What Gail Miller before, or I guess, before the last reno, the kind of tagline was, "This building has good bones," which is true. That's how they built it. That was the point. I don't know. You can say Delta Center is good looking or not good looking. I don't think that was the number one priority of it when it was built. I don't think, hot take for you, I don't think Lavelle Edwards Stadium is a particularly good looking building.
Okay.
I mean, the view is spectacular. Yeah. I think inside is the sightlines and all that stuff is all really, really good. It's super functional. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the circular, walkway things from an aesthetic standpoint, but you know what those are? Super functional.
Yeah.
Super functional. They'll get you around, and that stadium still stands up. I mean, we talk about your beloved Smith's Ballpark. Uh-huh. Stood up remarkably well for a long time. Now we got a little weird with the Spectrum up in Logan. Uh-huh. And randomly they can't refit that building because it's like a part of now the advantage that the basketball team gets. So they're in a little bit of a
pickle.
Kind of a weird quandary there. I don't know how I feel about how Rice Eccles looks necessarily, but I think it's a pretty cool building. It's become a more functional building, But
to the point, they keep upgrading it. They keep fixing things. They keep trying to make it a better fan experience. They listen to the fans. I don't know if you care that they put Utah on top of what's that building on the north side, on the north end zone.
Oh, it's something different than it used to be.
But it used to be the old practice facility, the basketball practice facility, right? They are doing things.
The field house.
The field house with the fans in mind, and now the south end zone has luxury seating in places where people can go and sit and grab drinks or whatever you want to do. They've done that to keep people invested. They went and put new screens in at. Well, then I think it was Vivint Arena, and now Delta Center has the great screens, and they've upgraded the pre-game laser show on the floor so you can project different things so it looks cool. And now this revolutionary platform system that raises and lowers the ice so people can actually watch. It's just like going to the stadium, you could tell nobody cared about the fan experience. So I do appreciate that locally with the people who are spending the money to get it done.
You know what's funny? That building isn't that old.
No, it's 10 years newer than Delta Center.
Yeah, it's not that old. Some architects in the 70s, I know there was a lot of cocaine going around in the 70s. I know that, things were kind of weird and crazy. But if you look at the facilities that were built in the 70s, they are just all garbage. Yeah. And not only garbage, but garbage that had to be knocked down and wiped from the face of the earth, not refit.
Yeah, right.
Like think Three Rivers Stadium back in the day. Or what was the... God, there were like 4 or 5. The Vet falls under this category. They're playing on the cement AstroTurf, and the buildings are just garbage. My house was built in the 50s. I don't understand the architects in the 50s and their concepts of space. Makes no sense. I don't know if people were just that much smaller in the 50s, but just zero appreciation for space. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. But I think here in our culture, when it comes to building facilities, I think we've really aimed for functionality and long lasting. Look at Rio Tinto. America First Field. Look at that facility. Mm-hmm. That facility is getting older. You wouldn't dang know it.
No, it feels great
if you went to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Older, like what year did they build that? Mid-aughts?
Yeah.
Late aughts? Mid-aughts? Mid-aughts.
But it's if it's not there, it's approaching 20 years old.
Great facility.
Yeah.
Stands up, totally stands up. Mm-hmm. No, I haven't heard a peep from anyone. I don't know, maybe the RSL faithful feel differently, but I haven't heard a peep from anyone about refitting that stadium or updating it or anything. 2008. So I think we do, to capitalize on your point, I think we do this sort of thing really well in this town. Facilities, I think we do. And maybe they're not the most beautiful arena you've ever seen in your life, but functional and long-lasting. And it's an interesting example there in Tennessee that not only is that stadium terrible, it's not that old, and they're wiping it off the map. They're not refitting it. Like, that's just a waste.
It is a waste. It's crazy. We did get to the bottom of it a little bit, which is Bud Adams bought the team or had the team in Houston and moved them to Tennessee, and he died 12 years ago. And his kids have been running it. And kids usually
His
don't
daughter
care about
runs
it
it.
the same level and maybe don't have the same money and, et cetera, et cetera. So they're not building they're building the new stadium, but they're not keeping the stadium going as they should. Like I said, there's nowhere to eat. So you could say, well, yeah, it encourages you to go back to your seat and eat. But what it actually does is it encourages people to sit down on the ground and eat food off the ground, which is not the most aesthetically pleasing thing. Imagine if you were walking through Delta Center and half the crowd was sitting on the ground eating. Just, nachos in their lap and a drink next to them. It makes everybody look like they're intoxicated and can't stand. It looks really poor. It feels bad to be at the stadium. So, even just little things like, just put some tables out for people to sit down and eat. And, there's no lack of spots to sit and eat at Delta Center. There's no lack of opportunities to go and find food and make it easier. So, I don't know. That was my takeaway. It felt like Smith's Ballpark with zero charm. It's like if you had taken all the cool aspect of it and the historical aspect of it and stripped it down and made it totally unusable. It was very bizarre.
She basically, their whole family fortune is more or less tied to the Titans.
Yeah.
Which are valued at $6.3 billion. So I don't know how much dough they have. But you know what? Sports evolution is really fascinating. This is why everybody's scared of Steve Ballmer, by the way. Part of this reason is she's like Mark Davis, right? The haircut in Vegas. The Buss family was this.
Yeah.
These old owners that invested in these leagues early when they were by no means a safe place to park money for extraordinarily rich people. And now this new phase of ownership, you're wondering why the amenities suck at Nissan Stadium. It's because every nickel is going into the new place because this isn't Steve Ballmer who can just take a loss and spend billions of dollars on a new facility and make it state of the art. And when somebody shows him the balance sheet, he says, what do I care?
Yeah.
It makes no difference to me. I want to play with my new stadium toy. You know what I mean? This is not the owner of the Titans. And the NFL has a lot of old school owners like that. Look at the bozo who owns the Chargers.
Yeah.
Look at the bozo who owns the Chiefs.
Jerry Reinsdorf, not that he owns an NFL team, but he owns the Bulls and the White Sox. His net worth is $2 billion. Both of those teams are worth way more than that. And obviously, he doesn't own all of the team. But, yeah, it's no surprise those teams aren't any good. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't really have any money. The stadium where the White Sox play is not good either.
Right.
So it makes sense. You're right. No, I think it's a good point. These guys who bought teams when they were $35 million, and it was a crazy gamble at the time, and now they're worth $6 billion, doesn't, I guess, necessarily mean they put $6 billion in their pocket.
No, they Titans fans should hope that this gal sells the team.
Yeah.
Somebody who's uberly rich.
There's got to be money in Nashville.
You would think.
Yep.
Find Elvis's agent. Didn't he make a bunch of money? I guess that was technically Memphis.
Yeah. There's money.
Yeah, but the Colonel's got to be on the Nashville scene. I mean, he's probably 105 by now. However, I mean, the Nets were owned by a Russian gangster for quite some time.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the Top 3 Stories of the Day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contests and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. Real quick, this before we get to top 3 stories, I just saw this. ESPN is hiring Michael Malone to do their NBA countdown. Honestly, whoever is programming ESPN's basketball coverage is just sniffing glue. I could tell you easily what coaches would be good and not good in analyst roles. And I'll tell you what, Mike Malone, ain't it?
He was interesting as a sideline guy, and actually he kind of said some inflammatory things about the Nuggets and specifically about Jokic, excuse me. But yeah, I'll be curious how he does in studio as a real analyst, if that's what he's doing.
Okay, you either have to, if you're as unlikable as Mike Malone, you have to do two things. One of two things. You either have to grow and completely change your personality so that people will be like, oh, this guy is actually engaging, or you have to come out guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to do that because no coach does that.
And he's probably not done coaching yet.
Right, and he wants another job.
If your career is over, you don't say anything, but I suspect he'll want another job.
So,
and look, he's the number one coaching candidate right now on the planet.
So what do you bet me he's boring and unlikable?
Yeah, probably going to be his role. And we'll leave midway through the season to take a job.
And ESPN wonders why their studio stuff sucks.
Yeah.
It's because they actually have talented people that they could elevate and put into bigger roles and would be really good. But instead they hire old Mike Malone.
Yeah.
Top 3 stories of the day brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start?
Number 1, this just in from Utah Mammoth Media Day. It sounds like Connor Ingram and the team are parting ways.
So Connor obviously had a very strange run with the Mammoth, the Utah Hockey Club, when he first got here. You know, he was the guy. He was coming off of a great season. We'd known he'd had some, I don't want to say mental health issues in the past, but it sounds like,
his mom died, and he was having a tough time with it.
This was even before his mom had died, right? But yeah, loses his mom, leaves the team, comes back for a little bit, was not particularly effective when he was in goal. Veg steps up, Vejmelka steps up, and ended up being, one of the probably top 10 goalies in all of the NHL last year, and really won that job and got the big extension. So it was clear they're moving on from Connor Ingram. They signed a guy who could have been the third, could have been the backup in the offseason, trying to kind of see if Connor was going to come back, and it just doesn't sound like they were ever able to fully get back on track. And Bill Armstrong this morning, the GM for the Utah Mammoth, said that they mutually agreed to part ways, but they basically told him not to come to camp.
Yeah, no, not a surprise.
Yeah. Hey, you got to make sure your backup goalie's good. You can't have Vejmelka out there playing 21 games in a row or whatever it was. Obviously, that can really wear on you, and I don't think that's where they want to be if they really believe they're going to be a playoff team, which has been the narrative so far this morning at Media Day. But if you don't feel like Connor's going to be in the right headspace, both for him and for the good of your franchise, you probably need to move on.
And I have no idea if this is the case here, but I'm sure if you've played sports, organized sports or whatever, when somebody gets beat out or if you get beat out or whatever, things can get a little weird.
For sure.
And maybe it's best to part ways for both parties. Go find a different opportunity. And, the Mammoth now can look at other keepers. I'm talking soccer here. Other goalies.
Yeah.
That they can put in the stack.
Yep, absolutely. And they said they'll put him on waivers. We'll see if he ends up with an NHL roster. He may need another year. 2 years ago, he was really good. He was really surprisingly good in Arizona. So we'll see if somebody picks him up, gives him another chance.
What's next?
Number 2 article up right now on KSLSports.com. What is Kalani Sitake's record on the East Coast?
What is Kalani Sitake's record on the East Coast?
7-6.
Okay. I don't really care. I don't think it has anything to do with location. I think that has to do with the history of where BYU was in the last few years under Kalani, or I guess you should say his first few years. This is now, season 10? They're a really good team. They should be fine on the East Coast.
Yeah, DJ gets really into the weeds on how many time zones that you travel, and I've always kind of more downplayed that. Not that it's not impactful, but the only thing I take from his record on the East Coast is, wow, Independence was so crazy. They played that many games on the East Coast?
Yeah, right. He's played that many games that far away, considering it was usually you can only play non-conference. Obviously, every game was non-conference. But yeah, Utah, how often do they travel east?
Well, before the Big 12, basically never.
And now you got to go play West Virginia or you got to play Central Florida, but
right.
You would never go there.
No.
Unless it was a huge game and you weren't, North Carolina wasn't scheduling Utah.
Well, Utah, how many big road non-conference games did they actually play in the Pac-12 era? Michigan, Florida. Mm-hmm. So there's one for Florida.
Not a lot.
Big non-conference road games in the Pac-12 era? It wasn't a ton, yeah.
No.
So they've played on the East Coast like once in the last dozen years.
Yeah, non-conference, yeah.
I think the time
changed. Wait, hold on. Conference they wouldn't play in.
Conference,
they
definitely weren't either.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
but if you mean last 2 years,
yes.
well, now you can go play West Virginia, or they went and played Central Florida last year.
Yes, Christian.
I think the time change does matter for earlier games, but this is like a 7:15 game, so I don't think it's going to affect them that much.
Also, coming off of a bye week, you've had time to adjust your clock. This is not played a weird late game Saturday, played a weird Thursday on the East Coast.
No, I don't think it should matter. What's going to matter is the Purple Pirates have a QB that can sling it. So BYU's defense is really going to be up against its first major test, and I would guess that means the offense is going to have to, I'm not trying to oversell it major test, but East Carolina has a good offense. Like the defense
really
is going to have,
the
defense is really going to have to play, and I would guess the offense for the first time this year is going to have to be at least mildly productive to win the football game.
With that said, I think BYU is probably better than NC State, and NC State beat East Carolina. East Carolina's 2 wins have come over Coastal Carolina, which you don't need to talk to BYU fans about. Coastal Carolina and Campbell, which I don't know where Campbell is. So
Soup Company.
It's a soup company, and they've outscored those teams. Yes, 56-3 and 38-0.
Still play for Campbell?
I don't think so.
Christian Donovan McNabb was an NFL player in the late 90s into the 2000s. He actually played his college career at Syracuse and did quite a famous Campbell's Soup campaign for several years.
Quarterback. Spent some time with the Eagles. Washington for a little bit. Do you have a cup of coffee in Washington?
Did he?
Can't remember all of his stops.
Is he on the Vikings?
Good player.
Fine player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Maybe the only notable Syracuse football player of the last 30 years.
Okay. Post Jim Brown. Jim Brown, right?
Also Syracuse? There you go.
Of Syracuse fame. All right.
Famous for playing in a terrible building. Speaking of terrible buildings.
Let's see, where all did McNabb play? Philly, Washington, Minnesota. 3 teams. We got them all.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, yesterday we talked about Rabbit Evans being out for the season. Kyle Whittingham also mentioned Adrian Zipperer out for the season.
Remember he had a big breakout. He was against Baylor last year on some of those wheel routes, and then you really didn't see him a whole lot. He had a good game against Iowa State as well, but I haven't really seen his name at all this year. He is going to be out for the season as well, Witt announced. The other piece of this, and not to dismiss Zipperer because you always want to have more talent out there, is that Ryan Davis just turned into a real player. He had another really good game against Wyoming. He's certainly become the go-to target for Dampier for Utah. He's really become his comfort, I guess, receiver to look for when they need to move the chains.
The only thing that I'll add is you just don't want the injuries to snowball for Utah. You know, it'd be interesting to look at a study on average number of impactful injuries for a college football team every year, right? You know, you lose, what would the average be? 2 or 3 key guys a year, right?
Yeah, if you're starting 22, your top 22.
You lose 2 or 3 on average or whatever.
Right.
It feels like Utah's is 15 one year and then 0 the next.
0 the next, yeah.
In fact, that's exactly what happened to the 07-08 teams. That was the exact same team. In 07, they struggled because everybody got hurt. And then in 08, they removed, one of their captains graduated, which was an improvement. And then...
Who was it?
Their center, I believe. Their starting center that year.
Our old friend Kyle Gunther.
Graduated.
Yeah.
No, but Kyle will tell you this. The 07 team was
the exact same team,
the exact
minus
same
him.
Team, minus him. And then key players played, and then young players who got experience on the 07 team, then in 08
really
were real contributors. And that team was healthy the whole year. It feels like it's been feast or famine with Utah. That basically sums up the entire Cam Rising run at Utah, right? I mean, if you want to boil it down to one player. But even the years that Cam Rising was rumored to be injured, remember, they were switching Jaquindon Jackson over to running back. They were just... It was an onslaught of injuries.
It's been for the last few years. It's why, the Cam Rising stuff I think was so frustrating for Utah fans, is it just felt like the face of it. But you're right. The number of running backs that went down, losing Brant Keithy several times.
Who was the D lineman that was a baller, the DN the last couple of years who couldn't stay healthy? Why am I going Fillinger?
Van Fillinger.
They couldn't keep Van Fillinger on the field. That guy's a monster. Yeah. Couldn't put a couple of games together because he just had, back to the Puka thing, right? Injuries are the hard subject, but you just don't want them to pile up on your team where you're playing all young guys,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you have your cantankerous center graduate, and then you put it all onto the tracks.
You think it was the Russell Westbrook thing?
It was, yeah, probably. Yeah, I do. All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars head east for a huge non-conference showdown against East Carolina. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's Win Ticket Wednesday. Let's give away some ticks. 801-575-ZONE. We're going to hook you up with a 4-pack of tickets to Wings and Wheels going on at Spanish Fork. In Spanish Fork, their premier aviation and automotive event going on Saturday, September 27th at the Spanish Fork Airport, caller number 12. 801-575-ZONE.
I don't know if this really applies, but you're going to start to see this more and more was the first thing I thought of. Kyle Goon used to be a reporter here in the area, covered the Jazz, covered RSL for a little bit. Now works in Baltimore. It's his hometown. He tweeted out a video of Steph Curry doing some volunteer work. Again, it's volunteer work. It's part of the Under Armour thing. But again, it's with Under Armour. He does get paid by Under Armour. You are going to see, you're going to get hit over the head with player appearances now fulfilling job requirements post Kawhi Leonard no-show job. You're going to see more guys planting trees. You were talking about Campbell Soup and Donovan McNabb. There's going to be such an onslaught of guys fulfilling responsibilities, specifically on Twitter, on Instagram.
Online videos.
Online videos.
Stuff.
And they're tweeting it from their own personal account.
Guys, just a reminder, check out Zuka Juice.
Just to make sure. Christian, Zuka Juice used to be a place where you could go and get basically ice cream, but labeled as healthy food in the form of a smoothie.
Back in the day.
Back in the day before Jamba Juice.
And
whatever
it did become a thing around my high school. I don't know about where you were in your schooling experience, but if you didn't walk around with a Zuka Juice, you might as well have just committed social suicide.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
like,
it was a Zuka Juice.
You might as well not go to school.
It was like a Bob Dylan or a Bob Marley album, or like Mocha Salsa. If you had one of those three things, you were welcome.
You were okay. The problem with Mocha is you couldn't walk around the hall with like a burrito. You could walk around the hall and sit in your class with your Zuka Juice, and you just look at everybody, and you're like, yeah, I'm looking down on you. Do you have a Zuka Juice? I didn't think so.
Peach Surprise or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I would drink the whole thing and still carry it around for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you could put water in it. How do they know?
Yeah, exactly. Be like, I've actually had 6 Zukas today. Deal with it.
Get ready for that. You're going to say, players really out and about in public. It's probably not as sincere as it's going to look, unfortunately.
No. Yeah.
It's a little less authentic, but people want to make sure they're not getting in trouble.
I have a funny comparison, but we're short of time. I'm not going to make it. Nate Schmidt is going to join the show. Coming up next, it is Mammoth Media Day. Nate, defenseman, signed with the club in the offseason. And we're excited to get to know him a little bit better. Coming up on the other side, it's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.